So normally I like to get on here, I like to break down last night's games, I like to provide some analysis as to what I'm seeing out there, but last night me and the wife had a date night, so I didn't really watch too much basketball last night. Instead, what I want to talk about today is Ja Morant at this situation that is unfolding in Memphis. It's starting to seem like it's going to reach a breaking point very soon here. It's starting to feel untenable. It seems like if I had to put money on it, I would place money on Ja Morant not being in a Memphis Grizzlies uniform by the time the season is over. And honestly, that's sad because Ja Morant represents Memphis. It seems like that fan base rides for him. He is an icon in that city. And Memphis has had some good teams in the past. Obviously, they had grit and grind, Mike Conley, Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol, Tony Allen, all those guys. They had the Pau Gasol teams. Mike Miller was there. They've had some good basketball teams in the past, but they've never had a player that was really iconic for that city and for that franchise. And Ja Morant has been that since he's been drafted there. So if something happens and he gets traded from there, it's definitely going to be sad and it's going to feel like unfulfilled potential. I'm sure that Grizzly fans are going to be feeling very ripped off by the whole Ja Morant era. All that being said, let's talk trade, because this is where it gets fun as an NBA fan, is talking hypothetical trades with big names like Ja Morant. So the idea that I keep coming back to is Ja Morant in a Minnesota Timberwolves uniform. I batted this around with a couple of friends in my life who are Wolves fans. I don't have any friends in my life that are Grizzly fans, otherwise I would have batted it around with them too. But my basic hypothesis is Ja Morant for Rudy Gobert. Now, obviously, the Minnesota Timberwolves have to throw in a lot more to make that trade tenable. Ja Morant is not getting traded straight up for Rudy Gobert. No matter how down you are on Ja Morant, that's simply not happening. But my basic hypothesis is for the Memphis Grizzlies, we know Triple J is not a center. We know he functions so much better at the 4. He's not a rebounding force to play the 5. You're not going to get too many better 5s than Rudy Gobert out on the trade market. Rudy Gobert and Triple J, that defense is going to be true grit and grind, lockdown, Memphis Grizzlies style defense. You get the Timberwolves to throw in a guy like Dante DiVincenzo, who provides you a little bit of 3, a little bit of D. He's also a guy who he would probably embrace that Memphis Grizzlies culture. And then maybe you get them to throw in Rob Dillingham too, a former lottery pick just a year ago who hasn't gotten a chance to showcase anything, but he has some juice on the ball. He has some shiftiness. He has some creation to him. He's a guy I would take a flyer on. If you can get the Timberwolves to throw in, a bunch of second-round picks, some first-round pick swaps, now we might have a deal. I don't think the Timberwolves can actually trade an outright first-round pick. I think they are picked out from their previous trades, but they can still trade pick swaps. So maybe you got the borders of a trade there, the borders of a deal there that can kind of make sense for the Grizzlies and be something that's palatable and digestible for their fan base. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, you're getting Ja Morant. You're getting an exciting on-ball scorer to pair next to Anthony Edwards. You would instantly have one of the most exciting, creative backcourts in the NBA. What we have been begging for from the Minnesota Timberwolves is to pair Anthony Edwards with another ball handler who has some on-ball creative juice, and you're not going to get a better one than Ja Morant out on the trade market. So I'm not saying it's a risk-free trade for the Timberwolves. We all know Ja Morant is a risky proposition, not only for the off-the-court stuff, but the dude just gets injured all the time too. So it's a high-risk, high-reward trade. If it works out, you're true contenders. Anthony Edwards is going to carry you pretty far if he has Ja Morant next to him. If it doesn't work out, well, now you're kind of stuck. So that's just the trade that I was able to come up with that I kind of like for both teams. For the Grizzlies, you're getting a nice reset on the Ja Morant era. You're building around Triple J. You're enhancing his strengths. For the Timberwolves, you got that new ownership in there. You guys went back to the tree trunk jerseys. You did that cool lighting with the court. Like, it feels a lot more like that. Like, there's a lot more electricity in the fan base right now than ever before. So why not add one of the most electrifying players in the NBA to it?